Good evening.
Welcome to the buzz about Smithtown Krav Maga, August 1st, 2019.
It's August 1st already.
It's hot.
It flew. So we are here with a special guest, Sifu George. Did you say Masone? Masone. You never know, you got that little French twist in there. So Sifu is not a Krav Maga guy. He actually trains under a system that is fairly new. How old would you say it is?
Yi Chuan, or now Song Jin Dao, about 50 years old.
50 years old, so relatively new. It's younger than Krav Maga. Who founded it and who do you train under?
Grandmaster Sam Chin's father founded it, and he lives up in Pleasant Valley, New York. It's a art that descended from the nomads from China, traveling. They would travel and sell their wares, and they'd need protection. So this was a Hakka-based art. That means a original Chinese art. And you could see elements of white crane, bagua, and xinyi, and also tai chi, all the internal fighting arts.
Okay. So you said to us recently, like, this system is really growing in, like, Europe. The Russians are big into it. Why?
The way that Grandmaster Sam Chin has curricularized his art is groundbreaking. I've never seen it in any other art as meticulous in explanation and identifying certain parameters, energies, forces, vectors, lines, and he makes all this stuff not just theoretical, but he shows you how it works physically. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty unique in that way.
Yeah, he really, it seems like, I've never trained with Grandmaster Chin, but it seems like he really breaks down the body mechanically and how it works and how, you know, the body only moves in certain directions, and it seems like he's got that down to the T. Yeah, especially with the slight differences with the way your hand is positioned, where it's pointing, where your balance is. It makes, it's completely different than anything I've ever trained. I've trained Krav Maga, MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Karate, Muay Thai, Kali, trained a little bit of everything, but this is something that is completely, like, I feel like if I were to have something in my eye, whether somebody threw something in my eye or I got hit and I couldn't see, I would still be able to continue to go based on what we're learning from you.
Interesting. What you mean by feel and touch?
Yeah, by feel. Like, as long as I can feel where my opponent is, I feel like I can continue and you know, as I get better, win the fight, even if I can't see you.
Well, that's funny. Grandmaster did come down here once, and I set up a workshop for him to teach the blind. There's a group of ninjutsu students that practice, and they're visually impaired, and I love working with them, but it's a lot of work because you have to go around and they have to physically feel what you're doing.
But that's exactly what we're doing.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So you're really expanding your planes of awareness.
Good. Well, as a matter of fact, if you look at the back of the shirt, tell me if you can see it.
Now I can adjust. Ready? There we go. So Ili Chuan, martial art of awareness.
Oh. And I didn't even read that off the back of your shirt.
Just by taking class today.
Yeah.
See, you picked that up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's an observation I had, and in an hour and 15 minutes that we just spent doing it, I felt there were only a few times that I really slipped into that, you know, that point of balance where I was recognizing, and my feet felt right on the floor, my positioning was right. Why is it so elusive at first when it is kind of a natural structuring of our body and alignment? What makes it elusive? Like, what has distracted us as a species that we've gotten so far away from something that is really what seems to be kind of the way you're explaining it is really anatomical?
Well, I'm going to cop out on that one and say I'm only a level 1 instructor. Although I've been with Master Sam Chin for one of the longer periods of time since he came to this country. I was with him before he had a whole curriculum. It's not an easy art. It is a true Taoist art, and here's the answer. the Tao, the Tao is elusive.
Yeah, the Tao that
And
can
this-
be named is not the
Yeah,
Tao.
exactly, thank you. Yeah. This is a true
This is
Taoist
what?
art.
No, I get it, I get it. I completely
You see, it's right there, I
understand
can
it.
feel it, I can see what you're doing, but how come I can't do it?
Yeah,
It's,
exactly, and I can understand what you're telling me, and I can comprehend how what you're telling you it should feel like, but why is it so hard to get there? You know, how come my butt's sticking out and my shoulders are back, or how come,
You
you
know,
know,
yeah.
what?
How,
And
so
then
the
you'll
first,
come over and make that adjustment, all of a sudden, it's a very relaxing, natural feel. You feel like you are connected to the earth in a very natural way, in a way that suits our evolution as a primate, if you will. But again, it seems we've gotten, put a distance between ourselves and that, and I guess what Master Chin
Good
teaches,
observation.
yeah, it's boiling it back down to that.
Yeah, we have gotten away from nature,
Yeah.
which might be why it's so hard for us. You know,
you guys have the answers. That's
I have,
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut.
clocks right twice a day.
That's right.
Yeah, I notice as I train it more, I'm starting to pick up more things. I don't know, you've
Good.
taught me my entire time, so.
Every time.
Every
Every
time?
time you
Yeah.
practice, you'll learn something.
Like the
little thing.
field drill we did today, I was realizing what you were trying to explain, and I got it. And I like that you try to describe to us, like, this isn't just an art to train for martial purposes, this is a life art. Could you go into that a little bit?
I studied medical Qigong, so I am certainly into healing, maintaining. When I was in the military, Army Reserve, I was the physical trainer. So I have a vested interest in making sure that it's all connected. What was the question again?
How this
This is a life art?
Yeah, this is a life art. Like, you know, Krav Maga, we train self-defense, we get attacked, this is what we do, but what we train with you could be used in all aspects of life in different ways.
I have to go back personally to one of my first internal instructors, BP Chen, and everything he taught us was just simple. It didn't look like anything. But then I realized, like, just standing was a whole art unto itself, that so many secrets can be deduced in recognizing how to stand properly. And there's always, so I've been doing Qigong for many years. And this art, I have to say, unequivocally, the movements themselves manifest Qi. The recognition, and I call the secrets of the circles personally, the recognition in how to move in relation to the circles manifests Qi. Qi moves in circles. So these are the things that I address every single day to harmonize myself with nature.
It seems like a lot of things in nature are spheres. The planet is a sphere, it spins, kind of makes sense.
Weather systems.
Weather systems, yeah, exactly, they spin. It's like the most powerful force in nature is the spinning motion.
Yeah, but there are no
In
straight
circles.
lines in nature either.
Good
Yeah.
observation, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna ask you another question, but I just lost it. Nick, you got anything? You got a question?
Maybe just expand a little more on it being a life art. What about in terms of a life art, in terms of awareness, and maybe apply it to something we always talk about, situational awareness that we use in self-defense? Do you feel that it gives you a certain
Unequivocally,
sense of
yes.
energy in
Oh,
a
yeah.
room, whether it's negative, positive, dark energy?
Well, because you have to, well, I'm not gonna get into like negative, those type of things, those energies, but.
Well, in a bad
dark energy-
situation, I mean, like you would recognize if you're walking into you would maybe
Feel
be
the
more apt to
vibes.
feel a bad vibe in a room where
I
maybe
think so.
violence
I
would
think so.
happen.
But most martial artists are like that if they're not too paranoid.
Yeah.
If they're not too paranoid.
That's right.
But, yeah, I mean, it is a martial art of awareness, so you're practicing Tao. I happen to be a Buddhist, so a lot of the principles for me tie right into what I study. But anybody, if you just, I find that these principles are physics, and they can be explained as physics, if you so have that perception. It's math, life is math. And I can't attest to being that smart. My daughter is an engineer, but I know she didn't get it from me. But seriously, there's so much math, and if you recognize the math of something, it's the same in music, you play
Well,
music.
yeah,
So
I recognize math musically as in terms of balance. That's how I look at
A pitch,
Yeah.
let's hit an A. How many vibrations is that vibrating? 440 times per second.
Right.
An A4, so I tune everything up. My ear is used to that number. There are a whole other energetic perspectives that go into that. So we try not to judge. So here's another thing about Ili Chuan. We try not to judge. We don't bring in past experiences. That's why we don't practice drills so much. We try to just be in the moment of whatever is happening. We don't try to bring something else from the past into what's happening in the moment.
I like that.
That's a big thing of Ili
Empty
Chuan.
cup.
Well, that's obviously that kind of a meditative aspect too.
Good.
Right? You know, just
Yeah, you
being
almost
completely
encourage a
present.
meditative state while we're
And
training.
that's when I
or
felt
while
best,
in
when I
our
was
training.
breathing right, and when I felt a little bit like I was, you know, getting beyond thought and just feeling.
Just feeling it.
You know, especially when you mentioned the positioning where you feel it in your foot, where you're really rooted. You get that feeling, and then you get like almost a moment of clarity would accompany it. You know, you make that contact, and it's like, oh, okay.
I noticed it the most when we were doing the rolling hands pull push. Like I would get it, and I'd be on it, and then it'd be gone, and I'm like, damn it, I lost it again.
That's what I talked about earlier. It seems
Yeah.
elusive right now. It's kind of
Yeah.
like trying to
It
pick
comes
up
and
a
goes.
watermelon seed. You get it? Oh, all right. I felt, you
It's
know.
like, I got it. I
and
got a
this is
little
maybe,
taste.
I don't know, maybe
Damn,
my
I
fifth,
lost
sixth time
it.
I've taken a class with you, and I get a little more each time. Tonight I felt the most just in tune with what you were teaching. Not necessarily that I was physically getting it, but just in tune with the flow of what you were talking about and how the, you know, the energy fields we're dealing with. So it's phenomenal.
Good. Well, you guys worked hard tonight, and I don't leave too many gaps. I mean, you moved straight ahead, and time flies, and you did well.
Thank you.
I mean, well, one reason is because I'm good, but that's,
We know.
You are good.
I mean, I
Absolutely.
was a school teacher for many years, so I'm always intrigued. What you said about like the foot, how people are going to pick up different things, and that's it's just that amazes me how the mind works for each of us. So there's something in this for everybody unequivocally. You know, and
That actually is going to lead into my next question. So somebody that's interested in martial arts, you know, Ili Chuan isn't really known. I wouldn't even known about it without Sifu Rich and then meeting you. How would you suggest somebody getting into this? Or
actually, he's pretty good on websites, and he's got his little website, ilichuan.org, which is also Zhongxin Dao. I'll spell it for you: ZhongXinTao or DAO. Song Jin Down, the way of the heart. So he's kind of codified everything and made it more a learning curriculum. But we work on the physical aspect of it. Know yourself, then know your opponent. So that's why all the drills, the absorb and project, we have to first feel it in ourselves. We have to recognize these principles in ourselves, our alignments, and then as soon as you touch with your partner or opponent, you will connect.
yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, I know it's getting popular in Europe, and this is more of a personal question for me, but the Russians have always been very good fighters. Why do you think they're so interested in this system?
They have always been what?
Very good fighters, warriors.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
they're a warrior class of people. They always, you know, it's a rough country
I
to live
will
in.
say the person that brought it over from Russia, he had a whole school going over there. His name is eluding me. Forgive me, but he has got a school going. So it's mostly he started this thing in Russia, and it really just kind of from Russia grew to the Ukraine and the other countries all the way. I think he was just in England, Australia. He's got a big following. Italy, small one in France. But the Russian,
Because the military is doing it, right?
no,
No.
not that I know of.
No,
I mean,
okay,
no.
okay.
But this is not really, geared towards that's more for the other fighting arts.
Well, I see the benefits, training under for the short period of time that I've trained under it, the benefits that a military personnel could use if they have the other training that they can apply it to. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay,
no question.
okay.
I know Alex trains a lot of people. The one that brought it from Russia. and he's like one of the highest level that Sifu is bestowed ranking to.
What rankings are in this? Because you said you're a level 1 and
Yeah.
you're very good, so
There's all the way up to like ranking 10, but you
Oh,
know.
wow, okay.
There's, there's student level ranking, there's instructor level ranking,
Okay.
and you know, I kind of approach it more Taoistically. I'm not into the, I have to get my belt.
No,
rankings
yeah,
up.
it shouldn't be like that
That's
for anybody.
me personally, you know.
That's why I
Plus,
love the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because like, if you're gonna go in there and expect a belt like a month after training, you're out of your mind. Like, it takes 10, 20 years to get a black belt. Like, that's a art that you just repetition, and it's like this. This is, I feel, is the same. Like, the only way you're gonna get good is to do it. You gotta do it. And you
gotta do
can't
it,
care about your rank. Like, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it, and you'll get better the more you train it and the more you devote yourself to it. Yeah? Anything, Nick?
No, I
We
think
good?
it's fantastic. I love
Awesome.
it. Really enjoy
So
it.
if you want to come train with Sifu George, he's here every other Thursday. He does his own thing outside of here as well. So if you are looking for a very new art that's it's definitely very in depth, man. It's very good. I don't even know
Smithtown
how to
Krav has
explain
had
it.
some very good classes here, very open-minded, and that should be commended for the work they're doing.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you, guys.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Sifu.
Excellent.
An honor.
Have a good night.